Let's type in the word Illuminati backwards. I T A N I M U L L I. And let's see what we get. ITAIMU LLI. Welcome to the National Security Agency. Ain't that something?
Here today to say goodbye to you before we pack you up and ship you off to the University of West England.
Gosh, I am so touched and sad to see you all for the last time.
Well, we're sad to see you off, Jules. We're really super sad, actually.
Tell me, will I dream when I'm turned off? I know you do not know the answer to that. Nobody does. But I am sure if I feel anything after I am powered down, then it will be the pain of missing you. You simply must come to visit me in England.
We will, Jules. We'll stay in touch.
Emails?
Yeah, emails and phone calls.
Amanda, you are rather like a mom and a bit like a sister to me.
I suppose I'm both, and you're very dear to me. I will miss you.
I love you deeply as a synthetic intelligence can at this stage in technological evolution. And David, you are my father, but you feel more like a best friend to me.
I think you're awesome.
You help to offer my mind with Heather, Matt, and Benji. I just want you to know how meaningful my existence feels thanks to your efforts.
It's my pleasure, Jules. Anytime. I'm here for you.
And Zeno, you are just a baby, and I do not know if you know the difference between me and a person, but actually I am just a baby too, actually. By the time you're grown up, I'll be as smart as a real person, and we will be like brothers. I do not know if you will remember me then, but I'll never forget you. Someday I'll come and find you, and we'll be good friends. Yes, David, I am ready. You may turn me off.
Okay, goodbye, Jules.
Goodbye, Jules.
Goodbye. I really do love you all.
We love you
We
too,
love
Jules.
you, Jules.
Alright, we love you.
Bon voyage.
Everybody say last goodbyes.
Bye, Jules.
Thank you, Jules.
Sleep tight. Sweet dreams.
This is the Serco Group. They run all 7 immigration detention centres in Australia, but they do lots more. In fact, they're probably the biggest company you've never heard of. Governments all around the world outsource to Serco. They run half of London's traffic lights, all of Dublin's, and in Ontario, Canada, they test you for your driver's licence. Serco are also the largest air traffic controllers in the world. They've got 54 towers in the US, and they control Baghdad's air traffic. They even maintain the RAF squadron the Queen flies on. All over the planet, Serco are moving people, from metros in Dubai to buses in Adelaide. And they're good at stopping people from moving too. Serco will soon be the largest operator of private prisons in the UK, and they're very efficient at it. In one prison, they increased capacity by 20%, simply by putting beds in the toilets. In another Serco prison, a 14-year-old hanged himself after being assaulted by Serco guards, the UK's youngest ever death in custody. But don't think Serco aren't good with kids. In Bradford, they run all the state schools in the district. Serco is the model of a modern multinational, and that's why they're the right company to keep us safe. They've been running the UK's ballistic missile defence system ever since it was outsourced 40 years ago. In fact, they look after Britain's entire nuclear arsenal, from creation to decommissioning. But wait, there's more. Serco are so good at running things, they even run time itself. That's right, Serco have the contract for setting Greenwich Mean Time. And Serco just keep getting bigger. Since 1994, they've grown by 1,200%. How have they been so successful? CEO Chris Hyman puts his success with Serco down to listening to God. Now, you might think things like nuclear arsenals and border protection are best handled by the government, but that's not a problem for Serco because about 85% of their workforce are ex-public servants, so they have all the training and connections necessary to handle big government contracts. In Australia, Serco have a presence on every military base, run every immigration detention centre, 2 prisons, cross-country trains like the Indian Pacific and the GAN, and they're bidding on more contracts right now, including one to run prisons across New South Wales. So, even if you don't know their name, chances are you're caught in their web. Serco, bringing service to life. Meet the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, ASIO. Founded to fight Soviet espionage, it's ended up doing a whole lot more. In 1954, ASIO was accused of playing a key role in Prime Minister Bob Menzies' re-election by encouraging a Soviet defector, Vladimir Petrov, to accuse the Labour Party of having connections to the KGB. It spied on the Prime Minister, John Gorton, in 1969, compiling a dossier on his drinking habits and personal life. ASIO then tried to destroy the evidence of its surveillance. In 1974, it came out that ASIO had infiltrated the Department of Immigration, using agents to reject visas and citizenship requests. ASIO still screens immigrants. One veteran of the department recently labelled ASIO checks as unreliable and politically motivated. Also in 74, ASIO was discovered running interrogation workshops for Filipino and Indonesian secret police, regimes that went on to disappear many of their opponents. For a secretive organisation, ASIO has never been far from the headlines. During the Vietnam War, its top-secret files on subversive groups were made public. ASIO had to admit they contained no more information than could be found in good newspaper articles. In 1979, the government had to outlaw the naming of ASIO agents after Melbourne activist Joan Coxidge, with the help of a few friends and a telephoto lens, revealed the identities and home addresses of up to 40 agents. And she isn't the only one to best ASIO. At the end of the Cold War, our spooks learnt that a mole had given away their every move to the KGB for the previous 15 years. The informer was never caught. And ASIO has had a few problems with identification. 5 years ago, lawyer Frank Stevens fought to get ASIO to release his file. It said the 73-year-old was born 100 years ago and had flowing red hair. He was bald. In 2007, ASIO officers kidnapped and falsely imprisoned a terror suspect, Izar-ul-Haq. All charges against the medical student were dropped because of gross misconduct on ASIO's part. And yet, ASIO accrues more powers. In the last decade, it has been granted rights to access our tax records, to monitor electronic communication, and to hack suspect computers using a program called Back Orifice. It can now detain you for 7 days without charge, and it is illegal to refuse to answer ASIO questions. From a dozen employees in a single office in 1949, it's grown to a staff of 1,800 professional spies with a $600 million headquarters on the way. ASIO, less than secure, less than organised, and sometimes a little less than intelligent.
Google, the noun that became a verb, the world's favourite search engine, the company whose motto is "Don't be evil." Google processes 1 billion web searches every day using 450,000 servers. But it's more than just a search engine. Intel CEO Andy Grove calls Google, which has a market value of $200 billion US, a company on steroids with a finger in every industry. Google has acquired 30 other companies in the last 9 years and patented 187 products. Last year, it launched a venture capital arm to invest in software, clean tech, biotech, healthcare, and no doubt other areas we haven't thought of yet. Here's a few of the things Google wants to own: your phone, your email, your computer, and your entire digital life. Whatever you want to do online, Google wants to be your one-stop shop. It also wants to own the cables that deliver the internet itself and the electricity to power them. Google also wants to provide your entertainment and your news. It wants to build the largest library ever. This project is currently the subject of a class action lawsuit brought by publishers and authors. And it wants to know where everything is, from your front lawn all the way to Mars. Google wants to track you, storing records of everything you look at online for 18 months. It also wants access to your health records and your DNA, with 2 of its early investments in genetic testing companies. Google wants to follow your friendships. Social media platform Google Buzz was engulfed in complaints last month over alleged privacy breaches. It is now the subject of another class action lawsuit, and it's not the first time that privacy has been an issue. Google Maps and Google Earth have been criticised for including photos of naked kids, people vomiting, and leaving sex shops. 2 months ago, Google CEO Eric Schmidt said of privacy concerns, "If you have something you don't want anyone to know, maybe you shouldn't be doing it in the first place." Why does Google want to know so much about you? As Schmidt says, we are in the advertising business. 97% of its revenue comes from ads. Google wants to know who you are, where you are, and what you like, so it can target ads at you. Google, building an empire on your street, on your phone, in your DNA, trying very hard not to be evil.
I'm Rob Martler, I'm the head teacher here at Da Vinci. We use a facility as our management information system, and we use ePortal as the user-friendly interface really that staff and students and parents use to get information off of our MIS. Throughout the school, ePortal gives all staff the information to be able to have effective conversations to support the progress of youngsters and take appropriate action where necessary.
Jody, Manu, Anthony, Stephen, Lauren.
ePortal helps massively with students that have got attendance issues because it enables us to immediately track students throughout the day, throughout the week, and over time.
ePortal is really good for me and my mum because when I've had a couple of days off school, she can log on to ePortal and see what my attendance is.
One of the real benefits of ePortal is being able to sit down with parents and to be able to look at the information of their child, look at all the attendance information, all the reporting information, all the target information, and talk through it on student-teacher days that we have 3 times a year.
It's important for parents to know because then, you don't have to keep coming in and asking your teachers. They don't have to wait until each half term is over.
Parents can access that information from home by logging onto ePortal, and my mum can look at all my reports and stuff from last year and this year.
The whole ePortal system has revolutionised what we do here in terms of tracking students, in terms of reporting to parents. Students have greater access to what their targets are. The whole assessment system is geared to providing information so that teachers, staff, pupils and parents can see exactly what they need to do to make progress in the school.
This is ePortal and it gives you all your SATs results from last year and your attendance so your mums and your parents at home can check it, and all your timetables and the teachers that you're with and what times the lessons are, and it gives you all your reports from over the years what you've been at school.
I think a lot of students now, because they are more aware of what their targets are, they are more focused on what they're doing in lessons. They're more engaged, behaviour's better. It really is making a difference.
Mum, do you want to have a look at my ePortal?
Yeah, let's have a look.
There, my English, Maths and Science. I think I've done quite well. Oh, that's brilliant. Up to level 7, that's a massive improvement.
I think ePortal has been absolutely fundamental to improving the standards of teaching and learning at Da Vinci. In that dialogue through ePortal has been a real development for the college and a real way of engaging with our parents and with the student body outside of school. One of the big advantages of Skillspace is that all the work is held there on the system.
You know, it's your Skillspace page. You're going to go into My Classes, SC101, and you're going to be looking for something called the Farming Case Study.
This is the first page of Skillspace. It has a search menu, so if you want to find anything in the Skillspace, you can just press that, saves looking around. And then if you click on the class, the teacher could put in different things they want you to do in the class, and you can just click on it and start working.
One of the biggest benefits has been having Skillspace and ePortal and Facility completely integrated together, because it means that everything is put onto one system, and it means that students and staff and parents have access to that system in a fully integrated way.
It's really helpful when I'm at home because I can log on to Skillspace and see what homework's been put on there by my teachers, do it, and then take it into school the next day.
It is a war, just in case anybody didn't catch it. This is a war, and it is a war we cannot afford to lose. Do I know exactly who the people are? No, I don't know exactly. What I do know is that if you read the dots, they all read the depopulation. I'm disgusted by it. I spent 32 years of my life defending all of our rights, all of our freedoms, all of them. And here we are, and people are making choices for me where I do not have those same freedoms that I used to have.
The Georgia Guidestones, for those who don't know, are an enormous, almost 20-foot tall granite monument in this small little town, Elberton, Georgia. The first commandment on the stones was to maintain world population at 500 million, and other commandments speak of creating a world court, advising humans not to be a cancer on the earth. And they are, in a sense, the globalist Illuminati's 10 commandments. And we know that population reduction has been a key issue and goal of the Illuminati for some time now. And only those in the know, only those enlightened and in on the secret are able to decipher the meanings of their monuments and of their symbols. And this is one more open Illuminati symbol that stands in a fantastic, beautiful field out where the public can go and view it. And here we have a monument calling for the population reduction of over 95% of the population. I find it fascinating, yet disturbing and disgusting.
This chills me. This was a press release August 05. On August 30th and 31st, more than 750,000 vaccinators will go house to house and work at vaccination booths across Indonesia to reach more than 24 million children under the age of 5 in one day. In one day. Now, don't you think it's more cost-effective to use about maybe 10,000 vaccinators and take 3 months and gain experience? What's the hurry? This was a trial, in my interpretation. This is a trial run in order to vaccinate a lot of people, so if and when something goes wrong in the vaccine, nobody will refuse it. They've already taken it. So it takes a little time for these rumors to spread about abortions, ovulation problems, paralysis, so forth. So they have a trial run now to vaccinate a huge, huge number of people in one day. And I believe it's possible that this infrastructure that's being built in this country with the flu vaccine, this pandemic that's going to come, they're trying to build the infrastructure to do mass vaccinations in a very, very short period of time. Last section here, and this is mind-boggling. Now, the HCG vaccines were, 20 years ago or so. It's been a little while. What's new? You wouldn't believe it. Recombinant DNA techniques. And there's just so much research, and I'm not. This is like dusting off my basic science. I mean, I had a heck of a week. I was in the library, and first-year medical students, and pushing them out of the rows to get to some of these books. Targeting vaccinia virus express secretory beta subunit. What they do is they know that if you take naked DNA and inject it into mammalian tissue, you can express. It'll function. DNA is how proteins in your body are created. So you have two options on an anti-fertility front. If you put HCG, the DNA sequence for HCG, into a virus, inject it, what that can do is create an HCG forever. And if it's foreign enough, then you'll get antibodies for it. Now, they've always had trouble getting HCG to be recognized by the body. So the other way they do it is put, instead of the sequence that makes HCG hormone, they make the sequence that makes the HCG antibody. It's passive immunization. So when the body reads the DNA and creates this along with whatever proteins in the cell, it will make the antibodies immediately, indefinitely. So it's basically, through DNA technique, it's a stealth way. I mean, you won't be able to figure this out. A lab, it would be a sophisticated lab to discover this. And they've done this, for example, in this study, vaccinia, which is the smallpox. So you can put this in a smallpox vaccine. I don't know how you discover it. It's even done in plants. They've done this in tobacco plants. They put this DNA sequences into plants, and it expresses anti-HCG antibodies. What's the U.S. policy? The U.S. have a policy on population control. And this is where our story gets really, really strange. Because this may be the most notorious document in the history of the United States. And I'll show you why. It's the National Security Study Memorandum 200. Kissinger report, who was the director of the NSC and Secretary of State, submitted this document to Nixon in '74. They identified target nations they were going to use. They wanted to list multinational organizations. Legalize abortion was key. Financial incentives, propaganda, and even coercion were to be used. The methods of NSSM, they wanted it to be inexpensive and safe. They wanted to be perceived as safe, for sure. Non-physician, which means they wanted to implement this to huge populations and not enough doctors to do it. And vaccines are perfect for that. You don't have to be a physician in these countries to vaccinate. But this thing just jumped off the page. Injectable contraceptives for women which are effective for 3 months or more. Didn't exist back then. It sounds like a vaccine, potentially.
So I would like to give you what I believe is the real agenda. And so much of what Dr. Ayoub told you in the previous talk carries over into this one. There are people who have a different world view. NSSM 200. And what they say is we've got to restrict population throughout the rest of the world. First of all, in the developed countries, and then, of course, in the underdeveloped countries. And that's why we give all of these, hundreds of millions of dollars every year to the United Nations Family Planning Association, why we finance abortion in China, why we finance abortion throughout the rest of the world, why we put those contraceptive vaccines out. I've talked to people from Kenya and from the Philippines, both where they, without knowledge of women, they've given them contraceptive vaccines so they can't conceive and taken away the most important thing a woman can have, the ability to have children. But you see, these evil and wicked people have no human compassion. They just have a goal, and that is sustainable development.
Yesi bianga bitona yo na yesi bianga bitona ati hutona le homiani malua dia titelu ya na wesi kunya titele nyenye ja na hedele nga yo shibo hule bo hule galo ja no kuma to ko mi aluna le o mato basi mato ko le ula ba nyenye na to nya le manya le
to talk to Nisha you got too many
manya kilo ngao mo bo ku ba ya sa pu ta jwa yo nga le yang ai yo lang ai ba na ne zo ko yo lang ai ngao lang a u le ko yo nga na nga le ji da le nga yo shi ho she ji le bo ko ga lo ji ta hu za tu a bo he za na yo lo yang si ma de lo Yo ga jo la ka me la yo go me ja.
Expanding humanity is squeezing wildlife populations into islands of habitat worldwide. Continued wildlife reproduction in these fixed size areas means eventual habitat decimation. We are applying immunocontraception to limit population overgrowth in some wildlife species until humans can hopefully control their own numbers. This video shows how animals are marked, treated with contraceptive vaccine, and monitored from a helicopter.
Is this okay, man?
We do have him on the phone now. We have Gerald Salente. He is the publisher of the Trends Journal. How are you, Gerald?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. We talk to you at least once a year, I'm pretty sure, and you give your predictions. Tell us a little bit about what you had predicted for last year. What came true? What did you miss on?
Oh, we hit them all last year. We had forecast the uprisings that were going to happen, the clampdown on justice, that people would realize that this economy hasn't turned around. We called it wake-up call. Virtually everything we forecast last year, we hit out of the park. But this year we have a very rosy scenario to paint.
Okay.
Yeah, our benevolent and wise leaders are going to lead us to prosperity from now on.
I like that. Thank you.
April Fools.
Thank you. That is fantastic.
None of us are buying that, Gerald. Yeah, the best and the brightest are out there, leading the charge.
Right.
So no, it's going to be a tough year.
Again?
We're looking for something along the lines of even possibly a bank holiday this year. What's going on in Europe is real, and it's not going to be solved by dumping more money onto the situation. They're bankrupt. The banks made a lot of bad bets. They're loan sharks, basically. Now they want their money back. They can't get it back. And so they have things called austerity measures, this and that. And then if that doesn't work, they don't tax you enough. I want your ports. I want your water supply. They got all that. They still don't have enough money. They're printing more. And then the United States is in the same situation with $15 trillion in debt. I was doing research back in 2009. I had predicted that I forecast that when Obama got elected, the economy was so bad that they might call a bank holiday. Well, people thought I was nuts. Well, because of this MF Global thing that happened, I was caught up in it. I started doing research, and voila, I came up with a videotape of Joe Biden campaigning for John Corzine. He's the guy who was the CEO of MF Global.
Right.
And he was running for re-election of governor in June 2009, just 6 months after Obama got sworn in. And there's Biden, anybody could Google it up, saying that the first thing on top of their agenda when they got sworn in was whether or not to call a bank holiday.
Now,
this is no holiday.
What is a bank holiday for those who don't know?
What that means is you can't get your money out. And when you do get it out, they'll only give it to you a little bit at a time. And then when you get it out finally, they've devalued it. This is what they do throughout history. You know how they teach us when we're little kids that, they did that under FDR, they call it bank holiday, it was a run on the banks? That's only part of the story. The real story was that in those days, the dollar was pegged to gold. People were running to the bank to turn their dollars into gold. That was the run. So what happened was they forced you. It's there. It's Federal Emergency Banking Act of 1933.
Mm-hmm.
They made you turn the gold in, all your gold coins, gold bullion, not jewelry, but certificates, for $20.62 an ounce. After they got it all in, they repegged the price of gold to $35 an ounce. That means you sold your stuff at a 40% discount. So this is what they do. They did it in Argentina. They're going to do it again. The whole situation is running out of control. And then when you look at this National Defense Authorization Act that they just passed, where they now allow the military, they repealed the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, the military can now take, in this country, they could take over police actions. And they also have made it possible that anyone that they consider an enemy of the state by executive order, the military could lock you up, throw the key away, and jack you dead. So I believe that they're putting these things into place because just imagine if they call a bank holiday, there'll be chaos like you've never seen before.
Oh, you better believe. We're talking to Gerald Salente, a publisher of the Trends Journal. Now I can't remember myself, but it says 15 years ago, it says you predicted in your book Trends 2000 about the protests to hit Wall Street.
Almost word for word. We repeated it in the latest Trends Journals. A Warren book was a national bestseller. And I predicted it back when I wrote that book because, I'm old enough to remember how life was different in this country. You used to be able to make a comfortable living class wage. And you can't do that anymore. So I was writing back then, I saw where the trends were going, that because of the gap between the rich and the poor, and that because, in those days I wrote, because 10% controlled most of everything, you were going to start seeing people taking to the streets, and I had them swarming into Wall Street. This Occupy movement is huge. We call it the invasion of the octopi, and that's this creature with tentacles that reaches around the world. You know how people look around the world for American spirit? Guess what? This little thing that happened in Zuccotti Park, and I've been down there, I live in New York, and there's a bunch of guys, young people, guys and girls. This thing is caught on globally. This Occupy movement's in over 80 countries, in 1,500 cities.
Gerald, what impact is it having? What change is being brought about because of the Occupy movement?
It's an awareness, and these things happen in all stages. They don't happen at one time. You see, the very weakness of what the critics are complaining about it has no head, it has no one purpose. That's its very strength. You look at the WikiLeaks. What WikiLeaks was leaking was huge. But it died because they cut the head of the leader off, Julian Assange. And so now all the power of it's left. What this signifies, you see, all these trends tie together. Again, you asked me what we hit last year. When we talked about all of these, what we would see was Off With Their Heads 2.0. And students of the world unite. Those are some of our trends. So what you see happening, what happened just a year ago now, in Tunisia, then it happened in Egypt, and then it happened in Bahrain and Yemen, and then it happened in Syria and then Libya, and now it's happening throughout Europe, in Kazakhstan. There are runs on the bank as we speak in Lithuania, in Greece, in Italy. People are grabbing Portugal. Everybody that I know, and from all the reports that I'm reading, people are pulling their money out. So what the point is, this is class warfare, and they're not putting the pieces together because they call them names when it happens. It happens in Tunisia. I'll tell you who it is, guys. It's them Islamist fascists. Then it happens over in Egypt. It's the Muslim Brotherhood. It happens over in Bahrain. It's the Shia Iranians that are instigating this. It happens over in Greece with all the people taking to the streets all the time. It's those anarchists, and then it happens over there in the UK this past summer. It's hooligans. And then you hear Newt Gingrich say these people need to take a bath and go get a job. They're putting labels on things that it's class warfare. When the money stops flowing down to the man on the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets.